Morning, guys. So before we start today's session, let me give a quick recap, guys, till whatever we have completed till now. So till now, 40 hours of training is completed approximately, right? For this batch, we started in December 13th actually, and LoadRunner was and the complete December and performance testing fundamentals were covered till end of December, and we started LoadRunner on 9th Jan, isn't it? So today is 3rd Feb. So in total, we completed approximately 40 hours of training. Okay. And how many applications scripting we completed, guys? Completed web tools and then Blaze demo, AOS, right? AOS not yet started?
No, it was not started.
Okay. So I'll start next week then. Okay. Those who are, not practicing, at least wake up now. That is the purpose of explaining this, showing this, right? Those who are not, those who did not start practicing yet, at least wake up just at least now. Okay. Now, so Saturday, I would like to, Saturday as usual. So we'll not have a regular session. So we'll dedicate Saturday's session for doubt clarification or, interview discussing script review. Okay. Doubt clarification, script review, and interview questions. All right. In that way, I will explain whatever already I am explaining daily, what are the interview questions that you can expect. And one more important update. Today we have walk-in drive in Quintelli, Hyderabad for 4 to 9 years experience. But those who are keeping 3+ also can go. Okay. Below 3 years, they won't accept anyways. And 9:30 to 5:30 are the timings, and venue is Salahpura Sattva City. One of the wonderful infrastructure, one of the wonderful campus for, IT campus in Hyderabad. I can say that for sure. It will be one of the top 5 IT campuses in Hyderabad. Okay. So last week also they conducted one drive, and see, you see here there are 18 openings. Total last week there are 20 openings, it seems. Last week they conducted one drive and 2 openings, just only 2 positions got filled, it seems. So they updated, here you can see that, still there are 18 openings in this company, in this one company for performance. Clear, guys? So please, please plan to go there, like those who completed, and one more thing, it is for LoadRunner and JMeter, both it seems. Okay, last week they did recruitment for only JMeter, right? Now they have LoadRunner, sorry, yes. Now they have both LoadRunner and JMeter. You can see here, they mentioned the key skills as LoadRunner and JMeter here. Okay. Right. Okay. So as discussed, right, we'll have a quick recap of the interview questions, guys. Okay. And I'm also preparing a weekly assessment for your batch on whatever concepts covered in the last 1 week or 2 weeks. We'll have a weekly assessment. I'll share it today. By end of the day, I'll share it. All right. So the first, yeah, let me give a heading. Interview questions. This would be for 3 to 5 years experience, guys. Okay. So what is the first question that you can expect, guys? In any IT interview?
Introduce yourself.
Like what is your day-to-day responsibilities and explain about the project.
Right. So Jan 2021 second. Let me open your batch notes. So the very first interview question will be, tell me about yourself. Introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. Okay. So what are you supposed to cover here, guys?
Sir, about my educational qualification.
Okay, yes. So start with your educational qualification. Okay. So even though you are experienced, speak about your experience academic qualification, highest academic qualification. So I'm a BTech graduate or an MCA or I am an MCA graduate. Okay. And I'm having then talk about your experience. Okay. Experience in the sense I'm having 3 years of experience in performance testing with mention the tools. LoadRunner or JMeter or only JMeter or only LoadRunner or whatever it is. Or LoadRunner, JMeter, NeoLoad, etc. etc. So tell about your educational qualification, your experience, right? So suppose if someone is having IT and non-IT experience, you can tell I'm having let's say for some 15 years experience, out of which I'm having some non-IT experience of 5 years and a performance testing experience of 10 years, something like that. I'm just giving some example. Okay. So you can mention that. Okay? You can mention if you have any non-IT experience, you can mention, right? If you are mentioning some IT experience also along with that. Clear, guys? So, and my total experience is this much. So experience, when I say total experience, so total plus relevant. Total and relevant experience. Clear, guys? So if someone is having manual testing experience and if you are learning and trying to switch to performance, don't say, that you have more experience in manual testing, because there is a chance that they will take you and they will put it as a performance. They will conduct interview on both performance and manual. And there is every chance that they will put you into manual testing project or more of manual testing and less of performance. Okay. So if you are a manual test engineer who is looking to switch to performance, claim more experience on performance and less experience on manual thing. Okay. Otherwise, they will use you for both, and you cannot pursue or you cannot focus on performance testing and engineering. Clear this? So you need to tell about experience, total and relevance. And right now you are working your company name. If you are, if you are a fresher, that's fine. Otherwise, you need to tell your company details. I'm working for so and so company. It's a service-based company or a product-based company, right? I'm working for so and so company, and then you can tell about your. That's it. Introduce yourself means that's it. Don't tell about your project and all those. Okay, because if you tell about your project and stop there, your interview will start with entry in project relevant questions, which you may or may not answer perfectly. Okay. So you should know how to bring the ball into your court. You should not leave in their court. Right? So tell about your experience, total experience, relevant experience, and your skill set. Next. Right? Skill set means so LoadRunner or JMeter, right? JMeter, these are the monitoring, these are the testing tools, and apart from that, you can mention about monitoring tools as well. If you are having any experience on APM tools, speak about those APM tools. Okay. And now then, don't mention about the project here, right? They'll go directly into project architecture and real-time questions in that case. We hear this many a time saying that, they are asking project questions or real-time questions. This is the reason. You are only giving a chance to them. Okay. If you stop with tools, right, then they'll start asking on the performance testing concepts and tools, isn't it? Now, so what is the next question that you can expect? So you can then they will ask, how much do you rate yourself? How much do you rate yourself on? Let's say you mentioned LoadRunner JMeter. Okay. So how much do you rate yourself in LR JMeter? Right? So how much do you rate this? On a scale of 1 to 5. Let's say they asked on a scale of 1 to 5. So there is no fixed answer for this, because it depends on person to person. Now, how much, if someone who is learning performance and trying to switch, then how much do you rate yourself? Or ideally, yes, 3?
3.5 to 4, somewhere around that.
Yes, right. So 3.5 to 4, right? That is the best answer, because don't rate yourself 5. Okay. I will not rate myself 5 still. Okay. I will rate only not more than 4, because there are a lot of things to learn. So it, is a never ending story. So you cannot say that I know everything in LoadRunner, even in LoadRunner or even in JMeter. I don't know like, more than 60% or 70%. Okay. Or 70 to 80%. Right. So don't never ever rate, 5 of yourself, you will be, anyone waiting? Opposite places. Okay. Don't rate yourself, 5. Never ever rate yourself on 5, right? Even during appraisals also, I rated myself, 5 only one time in my entire project. Because, I spent my blood and sweat during that period. At that time only, I rated some, not even 5. I rated 4.5 or something, 4.5 or 4. Even in appraisal ratings also. Okay. Anyways, so rate somewhere around, but don't rate yourself below 3 also. Okay. So you should rate between 3 to 4. You should rate yourself between 3 to 4. Okay. Now, so if you rate yourself below 3, then there is a chance that, like they will ask you, like, so they will assume that you are not so confident, or you don't have, good hands-on experience. Clear, guys? So rate between 3 to 4 on a scale of 1 to 5. Next. And throw some questions, guys. We'll discuss those.
Roles and responsibilities.
Roles and responsibilities. What are your roles and responsibilities? Perfect.
Also, sir, day-to-day.
We'll come to that. Day-to-day activities. Okay. So we'll discuss about roles and responsibilities first. Okay. So what are your roles and responsibilities? Suppose if you are, if you kept only performance testing, if your CV speaks about only performance testing, so tell that, you are involving you are getting involved in end-to-end activities, like starting from requirement gathering. So tell that, I'm involved in end-to-end performance testing life cycle. So starting from requirement gathering, test plan preparation, scripting, executions, reports. Based on your experience. Suppose if you keep 3+, that is enough. But if you keep 3.5, 4, right, or 5, you need to tell about, I'm involved in performance testing and engineering as well, along with requirement gathering, scripting, and executions, test plan preparation, test execution, setting up environment, preparing test data, right? These are all would be your, okay, we'll do one thing, like we will categorize here. For 3 years experience, what are the expected roles and responsibilities, right? So what can we say, guys? So you are getting involved from end-to-end activities, end-to-end performance testing life cycle, starting with NFR gathering. You need not get involved in, RFI and RFP. Okay. For 3 years experience, you will not get a chance or you will not, there will be seniors to do that, right? So you can tell from NFR gathering, test plan preparation. Next, scripting.
Execution.
Scripting, setting up test environment. Okay. Test environment, test executions. Right. Reporting or preparing reports. Okay. Reports. These would be for 3 years experience. These are enough actually. And now, some 3 to 5 years experience, let's say. Okay. 3 to 5 years experience. What are the roles and responsibilities expected from a 3 to 5 years experience, guys? Along with all these, right? They will also expect you to be good in monitoring and analysis. See, for 3 years also, monitoring is also important, guys. Okay. Monitoring. Whereas, for these guys, 3 to 5 years experience, you are expected to
Sir, testing up test environment ఏంటి sir?
What is that?
Setting up test environment.
Setting up test environment means like installing the tool on the load generator machines, right? And yeah, that is the main thing. So suppose if you are using LoadRunner, right? So you need to like install LoadRunner agent process on the load generator machines, or you may need to install controller, right?
Okay, sir.
Or else, if you are using JMeter, you need to install Java on all the remote machines, and you need to install JMeter on the remote machines, and you need to set up distributed testing in JMeter. JMeter, we have a concept called distributed testing, right? So this is nothing but setting up the test environment. Okay, so
And also validating caches in the testing. That will do
Validating?
mostly. Cache.
validating cache.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
That will do mostly in our process
okay.
before executing.
Can you explain about that in brief?
So caches are the replica data like which present in the DB. So we'll maintain one server for it. It is called as a Hazelcast Man Center. So we'll validate the same records present in DB and Man Center same or not. We'll validate, or else like a test will not go properly.
Right. So that is some best practice that you are following. You know, that is there are some best practices. We will discuss what are some best practices. Okay. So there are few other best practices also. So Hazelcast, you know, Hazelcast is a server that Mahesh has mentioned, right? Note it
Yes,
down, or you know, remember that and explore that Hazelcast. What is Hazelcast? Okay. I came across that in my last project in Axway when I was working for Axway. There we used to have that Hazelcast server. Okay. And while I was working for Bank of America, we used to also do something. You know, we used to always, whenever before starting a test, we used to you know, like check the production row count, and I mean we used to make sure that the test environment row count is same as production. What is meant by row count in test environment row count? In the database, we need to check whether how many, you know, rows are available in the database. Okay. And generally, like see, when you are doing, you know, in the test environment, when you are doing load tests, soak tests, different types of testing, stress testing, spike testing, and all these, right? With every test, lot of records get added to the database, right? You create some users, or you add some products, you place some products orders, right? If it is a e-commerce application, you'll add some orders, or if it is a net banking application, some fund transfer records will be added, isn't it? So eventually, like your the number of records in the database grows like anything, isn't it? Exponentially, it will grow exponentially. And you need to always, you know, before starting of every release or every sprint, we need to verify. So suppose you ran a soak test for 8 hours or 10 hours, lot of records get inserted into the database. You need to verify before starting, you know, each sprint, we need to verify what is the production row count and what is the row count in the test environment. Okay. Because in production also, they maintain the same way. They'll keep some cutoff like 1 lakh records or 2 lakh records. And now when the number of records increase, right, they will move those additional excess number of records to history partition. In a database, you know, you have something called active partition and history partition. In any database, okay, you have something called active partition and history partition. I think we are deviating, but this is good. Okay. So database, you know, any database will have in this something called active partition and history partition. Now let us say, you know, a team decided that 1 lakh would be the row count in production. 1 lakh would be the cutoff for row count. That is approximate value. It cannot be exactly 1 lakh. Okay. Approximately 1 lakh records would be the cutoff. Let's say would be the threshold value or acceptable limit. Acceptable row count, right? That is called as row count in database. And now, if the number of records cross that 1 lakh, they will move that excess. Let's say, you know, number of records is 1.5 lakh. So there are additional 50,000 records, right? Than the acceptable row count. Then what they will move those 50,000 additional records or additional rows from active to history partition. Active to history partition, so that it will not impact your database performance. Got it?
Like it is kind of a backup, sir?
No, it's not a backup. Backup is a different thing. Backup is a completely different thing.
Okay.
right? Now, see, your history and which records will be moved. When you say 50,000 records, which record should be moved? Obviously,
record.
oldest
Old.
records, right? Obviously, oldest records should be moved, isn't it? Because if you go to fund transfer, it will show you for the last 1 month or last 10 transactions, ideally. Anyway, any net banking application shows you last 10 transactions or last 1 month transactions. It will not show you like 3 months transactions that you did before 3 months, isn't it? Right? So you need to, so this is another best practice that we used to follow, and again, I know this, I came to know that only, after 10 years of my performance testing career after joining Bank of America, because previously no one used to follow that in any project. Even though I worked for large clients like GE, right? But no one used to follow that, right? Only after joining Bank of America, BOFA, I came to know that, like, there is some best practice that we need to follow. Okay. So this is one best practice. And another one is that, that Hazel caching thing done by, explained by, mentioned by Mahesh. Okay. Caching done by Hazelcast. Right? Hazelcast is a caching server. Just explore what is Hazelcast. It is used in many different scenarios. It is used, different scenarios. I'll tell you exactly like how we used in my last project. Maybe it will be difficult for everyone to assimilate that. We are getting deviated. So let's go back to the normal flow. We'll go in a proper flow because, first L1, maybe these will be asked in your L2 round, but these will be asked in first you need to clear L1 round, right? Let us discuss what are the, common questions in a L1 round. So reporting, so test executions, monitoring, reporting, and analysis. Along with those,
Which
test
APM
result
tool we
analysis.
will be learning?
What is that?
Which APM tool we will be learning in this course?
Which
APM tool.
APM tool? It depends on what you capture. So basically, Dynatrace is the most popular APM tool in the market. First comes Dynatrace, and then AppDynamics New Relic. Then only other tools come. APM, but Dynatrace is having majority of the market share coming to APM tools. And now, so if you don't have any experience on Dynatrace, or if you don't have any hands-on, nothing to worry, guys. So don't think that, like a tool is important. Okay. Performance testing concepts are important, right? Performance testing concepts and, scripting, executions, monitoring, which metrics to monitor, threshold values, those are important, first important. Okay. Some people say that, like, I don't, I did not learn Dynatrace. That's why I'm not selected. No, definitely not. At least for 3 years experience, definitely not. Clear, guys? So test results analysis and recommendations. We need to, provide some recommendations. Tuning recommendations. Recommendations means tuning recommendations, application tuning recommendations. So these are the roles and responsibilities expected from a like 3 to 5 years experience base. Okay.
So we can keep one more point, like analysis of errors.
Analysis.
Error
Test
analysis.
result analysis that falls under test result. Okay, I'll add it. Test result and errors analysis and tuning recommendations. Okay. Now, and what are your next question is what are your day-to-day activities? Now here they will ask you what monitoring tools you use in your experience. Okay. So tell that, initially I used Perfmon in the beginning of my career, but Perfmon and Nmon, don't stop with Perfmon because Perfmon is a very basic tool. Don't stop it with Perfmon. Okay, very basic tool. But still, some companies are using it, right? Some, some legacy guys are using it, or some, some old guys are still asking questions on Perfmon. Okay. So tell Perfmon, Nmon analyzer, and I will cover Java Melody tool for monitoring. And if you kept JMeter, mention about InfluxDB, Grafana, Telegraph, Elasticsearch, which will be covered in the training. Or if you completed JMeter, those are covered in the training, right? If you completed JMeter with me, any batch I will cover InfluxDB, Grafana. That is must and should. Okay. And Elasticsearch, again, if you tell about InfluxDB, Grafana, Telegraph, and Elasticsearch, they will ask you, obviously, they will ask you which one is a better tool out of this, right? And why? Got it? So with JMeter, you have, let me write it down here. Okay. So these are the popular monitoring tools along with JMeter. So what are those? So when you mention JMeter, right, nowadays, companies are expecting you to be having some exposure to BlazeMeter as well. Okay. So when you mention these two tools, they will ask you the monitoring tools, the most popular monitoring tools are InfluxDB, Grafana, Telegraph. Another combination is ElkStack, popularly called as ElkStack, where ElkStack stands for Elasticsearch Logstash. Logstash, instead of Logstash, I will cover FileBit. Okay. And Kibana. Okay. Then they will ask you questions on that, can you explain the integration process? How did you integrate JMeter with InfluxDB Grafana? Or how did you integrate JMeter with ElkStack? And what is the role of each tool? See, we are using 3 tools here for monitoring. Either these three tools or these 3 tools, right? And now, when you mention about both of these, which one is better and why? Anyone who completed JMeter, which one is better out of this?
We follow Influx and Grafana in our project. and
InfluxDB,
Kibana.
Grafana, Telegraph.
So popular monitoring tools with tools in JMeter projects. I'll mention it as JMeter projects. Okay. Which one are you using? InfluxDB Grafana.
Yeah.
Isn't
And
it?
Kibana. Kibana also we use.
Kibana, right. Now, which one is better? Suppose if you mention, of course, if you don't mention Elasticsearch, they will not ask you. They'll ask you, can you explain the integration process? Okay. But if you mention both of these, if you keep, Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana also, then they will ask you, definitely they will ask you like, if he's good on both those options, right? If he used both those, then only he will know that, right? Otherwise, he don't know that. Obviously, he may not be knowing that. Now, out of these 2 options, this is the best one. I can say that for sure, this is the best one. And now, what is the reason for that? The reason for that is when you are using InfluxDB Grafana, you use a backend listener. We have to use a backend listener on JMeter side. We need to add a listener called backend listener on JMeter side. But that is a overhead on JMeter. That puts a lot of overhead on JMeter. Okay. And JMeter is already CPU and memory intensive. Like some people mentioned, in the evening batch, in the last week, someone mentioned that they are facing a lot of issues with JMeter when executing test, even in non-JM mode. It is getting freezed or hanged, right, etc., etc. Then they increase the memory, and one guy mentioned, I don't remember the name, but someone mentioned that they watched my video on how to increase the heap size on JMeter, and then thereafter they did not face any of those issues. It seems that JMeter issues. Okay. Right. Please do watch that, how to increase that, that heap memory, JMeter heap memory. I have one public video made on that, right? JMeter heap memory. Just search for JMeter heap memory. This one, JMeter OOM issue with JMeter, how to increase JMeter heap size. This is a public video. This is uploaded as a public video, and I got a very good response for that. Okay. So please watch that video, guys. So, the reason why I'm saying this is, they will ask you this, one of the common interview question, right? What are the challenges that you faced in your project, right? What are the challenges that you faced? You can explain that example that, JMeter is sometimes like when we are running a test with JMeter, are trying to do some even script recording also. Sometimes when recording the script also, if your page is a heavy load page or it is having too many components, while recording itself, JMeter will hang. You can overcome all those issues with the help of by increasing the heap size. Definitely, they will ask you, if you tell that, they will ask you, can you explain where did you increase? I don't know. Can you explain where did you increase? How did you increase? Right? So you have to be ready with those answers, like how to increase and how to confirm that. Once you increase, right, you need to validate that it increased or not, isn't it? So please go through that video meter. I'm trying to show you something. Okay, analytics, yes. Right, you can see how much response I got. See, observe here. I got 56 subscribers, which is very high actually. Okay, one of the top videos which gave me more subscribers and views. You can understand, still you can still see that, like, see how many people are watching. You can see it here, right? Right, and it is increasing linearly. Okay, now, yeah, coming back to this. So challenges that you faced in your project, that is another important question. So when they ask this question, you need to explain scripting challenges, execution challenges, or listen to the question carefully. Are they asking about scripting challenges or execution challenges or general challenges altogether? Okay. So if they ask, if they mention about scripting challenges, you have to speak about scripting challenges only. Or if they ask text execution challenges, talk about them only. If they don't mention challenges on our mode, it's your wish. Then you can tell that, I face some scripting challenges, executions, and reporting or analysis challenges during analysis and reporting. Then let me start with scripting challenges and explain some scripting challenges. And then go to test executions. And then go to performance engineering challenges or test results analysis. Whatever challenges you faced in your project. So you should be prepared with at least 2 to 3 examples for each, right? So here, like in this challenges, right? So you should explain, our interviewer will expect you to explain scripting challenges, test execution challenges, and like monitoring and analysis, challenges in monitoring and analysis, right? So you need to, be ready with at least 2 to 3 examples for each. Okay. And, next, they will ask, can you explain some performance issues that you identified? Okay. Coming to day-to-day activities, how would you answer this question? If they ask you day-to-day activities, I think yesterday only explained this, right? Daily we'll have a stand-up call, and what are the concepts that we discussed yesterday? In one of the previous session, we discussed it, right? Not in this batch, maybe not in this batch.
No. Day before yesterday we discussed.
Day before yesterday we discussed. Okay. Yes, here it is. Daily stand-up call. We discussed about daily stand-up call, Jira, Confluence, GitHub introduction, and all this, right? So if they ask you like what are the day-to-day activities, daily morning we'll have a stand-up call where like and who mention what all teams will get involved in that. Who all will get involved in that? Daily, your daily routine starts with a stand-up call. And how much time that stand-up call will be scheduled?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
15 to 30 minutes. Generally 30 minutes. Mostly 30 minutes. Okay. And what is the agenda of that stand-up call?
Any blockers which are working on the.
Okay. So what are the activities we worked yesterday? Each team member we should explain or will explain what are the activities you worked yesterday. If it is a morning stand-up call, isn't it? Worked yesterday. Okay. I'll write it here. Morning stand-up call. Activities you worked yesterday. Planned activities for today. And any impediments or blockers. And please use this word impediments. Okay. You should, instead of using blockers, use that word impediments. Because, that is a normal, commonly used term, frequently used term. Right? So daily you'll have a morning stand-up call. And then what will you discuss in that? These are the 3 discussion points. Right? What are the activities you worked yesterday? What planned activities for today? And then any impediments or blockers. Okay. So that, if you are facing some issue in scripting, okay, you are unable to progress beyond a step. So you have every team member, right, in the stand-up call. If they also face similar issue or, any issue, whatever it is, if they also face that issue, they will tell that, yes, I also face this issue. This is a solution. or else, your manager can give you some guidance. If no one faces, if no team member faces such issue, they can give you some guidance with their experience, out of their experience, isn't it? Or, at least, you should update them. Whether you get guidance or not, that is a secondary thing. You should update them, okay? Even though they can guide you or help you or not, you have to update everyone that you are blocked with something. Okay, you should not keep it with yourself, right? And then you'll start your, now, how does the work get assigned? Okay, we'll discuss this. So, what are the planned activities for today? Or how does the work get assigned? So your manager will be responsible to distribute the workload, right? So he will assign you task as per your experience, and you need to create a Jira ticket and you need to assign it to yourself. Don't expect him to create or don't say that my manager creates the tickets. No, you should create the ticket and assign it to yourself. Okay. And to create a Jira ticket, what information you require? They can ask you what all information you require.
Like what was the task we are going to work?
Sir,
Right.
ticket
So
description.
what type of task, what type of activity is that? Is it a task or is it a bug that you are working on, right? Or validation of any bug? Suppose, there was a defect or bug and developer told that, that bug is fixed. You need to retest the bug, isn't it? Is it retesting a bug? So you will be working on a bug actually. There also you need to raise a ticket. The summary should be like revalidating the bug, right? And then you need to give the result. You need to update the result in the form of comments. And what information is required? Suppose you are working on a script. Let's say, what all information is required? Let's say you want to create.
Enough,
Yes.
enough for gathering, sir. Important business flows and URL of the application.
Okay.
Logs.
Now you are working on some script. Manager has asked you, your manager or lead has asked you to work on a script. And you want to raise a ticket first in Jira. What information do you require to raise a Jira ticket?
What on which sprint we are working? What was the
We need that information, sprint information. Okay. Or else here they can ask you, what is your current sprint? Right? Most of the guys claiming experience, they will get cut here. Okay. What is your current sprint on Adigaram? Okay. If you don't know that, right? So sprints will be how we know, like, what is a sprint first of all?
food?
So 2 weeks of duration, 2 weeks duration is called as a sprint. Okay. 2 weeks means how many days?
15.
10
10 days,
days.
sir. 10 days.
Business days. You want to work on Saturday and Sunday also? Huh? So 10 business days, right? Now, so we'll also, how does how does the work get allocated is like we'll have a sprint planning meeting. Okay. So first of all, how do we get the work for this sprint? Let's discuss that. How do we get to know like what are the activities we have to work for this sprint? Let's say the 2 weeks duration is called a sprint. And if they ask you in which sprint are you currently, right? So generally, most of the companies follow this approach. So right now we are in first quarter. We are in February, right? We are in first quarter, Q1. So Jan to March is considered as first quarter, isn't it? And then April to, we have 4 quarters, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Right now we are in Q1 and a sprint, which sprint this is?
Third sprint.
Third sprint, right? So each month will have 2 sprints, right? And now, like, we are in February. So that is sprint 3. The sprint number will become 3. If they are, taking at this, calendar year. If they are taking calendar year, most of the companies take calendar year only. Okay. So this should be your answer right now, like you will be in Q1 sprint 3. Clear, guys? Now, in sprint 3, what are the activities, that you are supposed to work is, how will you get to know that is, before the sprint starts, developers will schedule a meeting and they'll, suppose developers in Q1 sprint 2, in Q1 sprint 2, developers worked on some in Q1 sprint 2. That means second fortnight of Jan. Jan second fortnight, right? Fortnight means
24 days.
Fortnight
24
15
days.
days. Paksham antaru Telugulo, right? Fortnight means 15 days. Each month will have 2 fortnights. So let's assume that in Q1 sprint 2, that is in last fortnight, developers, developed some new features. Developers added some new features, and they worked on new features, and they completed the task. Okay, now what they do is they will explain what is that new feature they developed in the last sprint before this Q1 sprint 3 to testers, to the testing team. Which testing team? Functional, automation, performance, security. Everyone will be joining this user stories demo meetings. User stories demo meetings. Got it, guys? Now there, like developers will show, hey, you know what, like we developed this feature, we developed a new page, or we developed this new feature, we added a drop down, right? Or we added a checkbox, something like that. They will add, so they will tell that what new features they added, and then out of those, we will not, see, manual testing team, they have to write test cases for everything. Okay, every small and minute feature, they need to write test cases. But performance team will not, like we need to ask the developers or, your managers, do we need performance testing for this? We should ask the developers in that user stories demo meeting. How many, any idea, like, whether we have to include this in the performance testing scope? Right? So please, please remember this. Then a new feature ki, a new page ki performance testing cheyala. Do we need to include that in the performance testing scope? Clear or not? If yes, how many users? With how many users we have to test it? If developers don't have that information, they will check with their architect. The architect who designed the application, they will be having a better idea on how many users will be using this feature, right? Or how important it is for performance testing. They will be having that idea. So you should ask the developer or architects, development architects, they will help you. Clear this? Right? And now, so in that way, we'll get all the amount of work. We'll note it down, like, remember, in most of the companies, once you attend a meeting, your lead may ask you to share the minutes of meeting, MOM. MOM means minutes of meeting. If you don't follow that, if you don't follow that meeting properly, you cannot prepare this. Obviously, you can't prepare this MOM, proper MOM. Clear? And now, remember, when they are doing that user stories demo meetings, you can ask the developers to record the meeting and share it to you. Generally, most of the companies are using Teams, right? So Teams, Teams or Zoom meeting, we have an option to record, isn't it? So you can ask. If they are not recording, you have to ask them. Most of them will record the meetings. But if they are not recording, if anyone is not recording, you have to ask them to record the meeting. Because you may miss few things, isn't it? So if you have recording, you can refer to that. If you miss something or if you need some clarification. And you should also note down what is the new feature that is added in this sprint, right? Out of those, what requires performance testing? Because, like you need to prepare a MOM for after the meeting. Okay. And you need to share it across. MOM chasing, you should not keep in your mailbox. If your lead may ask you to share it across. Can you prepare a MOM and share it across? Okay. And now there we'll get to know what are the tasks that we have for this sprint. Let's say developer told that, 2 new flows are added. We need performance testing for this. Right? You need to ask what is the user load, how much user load you have to test that feature with, or test that new flow with. Clear? Or, if they tell that, we don't require performance testing, leave it. But you should not, skip the user stories demo meetings just because, you don't have like a new work in the last sprint. No, we never knows that. We never know when a feature requires performance testing, or when they will ask you. Don't never ever miss those user stories demo meetings. Okay, well, of course, these are after once you join. Anyways, now we'll create, suppose you got some 2 new features added. You create 2 tickets for both of them. And then assign, suppose there are 2 team members, assign 1 ticket to him and assign 1 ticket to you yourself. Okay. If you are smart enough, you'll do a POC, record the script and check which one is easy, and then you can assign it to yourself. Right? So this would be, now you'll be start working on those activity or what task, whatever is assigned to you on that particular day. And at the end of the day, you have to submit a status report, daily status report. Okay. So this is how your day ends. Daily status report should be submitted to your lead or manager at the by end of the day. Okay. Even though you are working beside him, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, he need to submit his report to consolidated report to his manager or his boss. Okay. So, this is a common mistake that both, many people does, including me. So when I work with the manager, right? So I used to feel like, initially I used to feel like, okay, again, why is sending daily status report? And I used to leave office, right? After 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, when you are having dinner or when you are having some family time, definitely he'll call and disturb you. Hey, where is status report? Then I used to ask, we only work together, right? But I want you to send the report, okay? He cannot write your status report just because you worked along with him, beside him, right? You need to submit your daily status report before leaving the office, not after going home. Again, that is another mistake that most of the people do, including me. I also used to do. I am very reckless about this. Okay. Okay. I used to send it many times after reaching home. Okay. But I don't know. I still don't understand why can't I submit that while in office? Okay. Some task is pending. Okay. I
Sir,
used to think, huh?
MOM is written by the lead.
MOM, anyone can prepare that. So it need not be prepared by only lead. Okay. But generally leads will
Like
do that, because
in our project, MOM
they will
was
be having a complete picture, and
yes, sir.
each and every minute details they will be having. That's why leads will be preparing that. But like there is a concept called MOM. That's what I want.
Yes, sir. I also prepared MOM sometimes if the
Okay.
lead was not present.
Okay. At the end of the day, you need to prepare a daily status report. Okay. So these are your day-to-day activities. Next, what are the challenges that you faced in your project? Okay. So mention some scripting, as I said, mention some scripting challenges, execution challenges, monitoring and analysis challenges. And they will ask you, like, what are the monitoring tools that you use? And they will ask you in the interview I'm talking about. So when like generally your interview starts with performance testing concepts. What are the different request methods? Can you explain request response cycle? Or, if you kept LoadRunner and JMeter, they can ask you this question. Suppose if client asks you to suggest some performance testing tool out of LoadRunner and JMeter, which one do you prefer and why? Okay. So morning, I got one call from an inquiry. That lady was telling that, she worked for Tech Mahindra for like 3 years or something. And she worked on LoadRunner, JMeter and Neoload, it seems. Okay. Then I asked, like, ask the same question. So if someone asks you, like, which tool do you prefer and why? So how will you answer that? Okay. Because I just want to understand at what level she is. Right. So she said like JMeter. Why? Means it is free tool. Okay. So that is not the only deciding factor. Definitely that is not the only deciding factor. Right? So your communication, your application communication protocol is important. What will you do if JMeter doesn't support? You recommended to the client JMeter. He said, yes, I'm happy with the free tool, and they gave you the project. And now you got the project. And now that JMeter is not supporting the communication protocol. You will be in hot chair from the next day. You will be the target for everyone from the next day. Right? So you have to explore the application, know what is the communication protocol, and you have to check whether your free tool supports that communication protocol or not. Right? So there will be a lot of deciding factors, not just free tool or license tool.
Regarding this protocol, no, Pavan, we are getting question like which protocol, like how many protocols are you familiar with? So for
Right.
that,
Yeah. So that is another question. So how many protocols you worked on, right? What are the different protocols that you worked on, right? So let me write it down here first as a fifth question. Okay. Challenges will go back, go later on. So how many protocols you worked on? So mostly everyone will work on web protocol. Because that is a common one. Web-based TDP HTML. Web-based TDP HTML. And tell API testing also. Web services and API testing as well. These are minimum things, guys. Web services and API testing. These are the minimum things. Okay. And what are the protocols we worked are, I covered so far in this batch?
HTTP
Web-based
and
TDP
HTTPS server protocol.
till now, right? So I told that next week I'll
Yes.
start API testing, isn't it? Web services and API testing I'll start it. So these are the minimum least expected ones from anyone. Don't say I worked only on web protocol. No, you need to know web services and API testing as well. That is the minimum thing. Apart from that, there are a lot of other protocols. If you get LoadRunner, so next if you keep LoadRunner, right, the next popular protocol is with LoadRunner is TrueClient. Okay. Now, suppose like what is the corresponding protocol? What is the purpose of this TrueClient protocol? First of all,
Client-side metrics capture.
or what is the difference between web protocol and TrueClient?
TrueClient will be used to capture complete UI performance.
Right. So with the help of TrueClient protocol, 1 second, please. With the help of TrueClient protocol, we can measure the end user experience or the actual client experience. TrueClient, the name itself says that we can measure the actual end user experience, because once a browser gets the response from the server, right, it takes some time to render the page. It takes some time to render the page. When you are using web protocol doesn't measure that rendering time, browser rendering time. What is meant by browser rendering time?
The time it took to load the complete page.
Right. So browser rendering time. What does that mean? Time taken by browser. So once it receives the response, right, it need to extract the zip file. Your response will get in a zip format, compressed format. So browser should extract that response, and it should load each component, HTML and CSS, JavaScript, and all the elements, HTML elements. They should be properly arranged in the browser. That is called as rendering. Okay. So your web protocol doesn't measure that browser rendering time. Your server send response faster, is sending faster. But if browser is very slow, because now why that happens? What is the reason for that slow rendering is because of bad code, right? If code is not written properly, then even though server is processing the response fastly, your browser may not render it fastly, right?
And
Yes.
also .js need to be loaded at the bottom of after HTML and CSS. That is also will affect.
Right. So that is one best practice. Yes. There are a lot of best practices like that. So for browser side, to optimize the browser side performance. Okay, that is one of them. JavaScript should be. Suppose there is a Java application, a .NET application, or a PHP application. Okay, there are 6 different applications here on both sides, left and right side. And let's assume that a Java application has to transfer some data or interact with a .NET application or another Java application or a PHP application, right? So that happens through a web service. So web service is a language independent way of communication. A web service provides a language independent way of communication. You can see that I have highlighted the definition here. Okay. So as simple as that. And now there are two different types of web services. I'll just give a summary. There are two different, for example, Ishwari, this is also for you. So you can expect these questions in the level two interview. Okay.
Okay.
So there are two different types of web services. Okay, SOAP and REST. Right? SOAP and REST. And what is what is the difference between these two?
The
What-
response, the
Huh?
response which you'll get will be different. In SOAP, we'll get XML, and in
Right.
REST, we'll get JSON.
Right. So web services, see, SOAP uses XML as a transport medium. So a next important interview question, what is the difference between XML and JSON? Okay. Web services use SOAP. Let me write it down here. Web services use SOAP. Web services are based on SOAP protocol. SOAP is a protocol, right? SOAP protocol, which uses XML, What does it use? XML and we'll come to that. Okay, next, REST API. The another type of web service is REST API. So this uses, JSON, right? This uses JSON format. REST API uses JSON format. Now, what is the difference between REST and SOAP is? This is the difference, right? And now, after JSON came into picture, web services has become obsolete. No one is developing web services now, or no one is using web services, right? So when you mention about this, the next immediate question that you can expect is, what is the difference between XML and JSON? Or why XML has become obsolete or outdated after JSON came into picture?
Payload.
Lightweight.
Yeah, payload and less data will consume, sir.
Right, correct. So both XML and first of all, both XML and JSON are used to store and transport data, right? Answer in this way. Okay, give some elaborate answer. Both XML and JSON are used to store and transport data. So, however, JSON is lightweight format, right? JSON is lightweight format, and it is best suitable for even mobile apps, because mobile apps will have limited bandwidth, right? Right. Of course, you are having 5G phones. You are lucky to have 5G phones, but not everyone will have 5G phones, right? So mobiles will be obviously having limited bandwidth, right? So JSON is lightweight format. That is why it is the best one for even mobile apps. Nowadays, every website is having a mobile app, right? Isn't it? So just because JSON is lightweight format, then XML has become outdated or obsolete after JSON came into the market. Clear this? Or after developers started using REST API. Clear this? So that is the difference between XML and JSON. Guess I'll have to stop it here for today.
Sir, one small doubt. While recording BlazeDemo application, I'm not able to capture the request in the LoadRunner. So does we need to change any recording options?
We need to change
The
recording settings.
recording